Good afternoon and good evening to you, wherever in the world you are. As I always say, welcome to TFH, the Full 100. Today is Thursday, the 30th of April, the very last day in April, and we're approaching the end of week 4 of lockdown in the UK. Guys, today I'm going back to the ethnic subject. No one else is raising it in the UK, so I feel not just, I'd raised the pensioners, sorry, the nursing home issue. I raised it a long time before any other press associations, or formal ones, raised it. I don't see Idris Elba, Lenny Henry, Trevor McDonald, Ian Wright, all our black footballers. I don't see anybody doing anything. They're all doing stuff for charity and stuff like that. No one's doing anything for black people. It's not even being pointed out. And it's diabolical, my people, because we are dying the highest. The elderly citizens are not dying as much as the black people are dying. The Prime Minister's not addressing it. Our black stars and faces are not addressing it. The press isn't addressing it other than here and there, just passing issues on the news. Not a major issue on the news either. So it's the third, fourth, fifth story on the news. So guys, look, it is up to me to do this, and I'm doing it with a broken heart at the levels of our deaths in the community. I'm doing it as a case of urgency. I wasn't going to revisit this issue this week. However, something's come to my attention, and I will start the show with this video. This is a video from a nurse of 30 years experience who's working in America. Again, most of this information we're getting is coming out of America. Nothing from the UK to help us about this. If they're seeing it, no one's raising alarm to it, no one's drawing attention to it. So guys, without further ado, let's get to it. Now, please take a look at this video before we get into the subject matter.
Not one to do live anything or to have anything to say in a public forum. But as a nurse of over 35 years, I am greatly concerned. I work in the healthcare field right here in the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm seeing a trend that I want to bring to the attention of my fellow Black Americans, Black Caribbean folks, Blacks of any kind or shape, wherever you come from, that I think you all need to be aware of. That is, for folks who are showing symptoms of COVID-19, our symptoms as Blacks are different. You don't have a cough, you don't have a temperature, yet our folks are dying at a higher rate than any other nationality or group. And that is because instead of a fever and a cough, what our folks are showing up with is what we in healthcare call malaise, or you just don't feel right. And on top of that, what happens is you start having either pain in an extremity or you just start feeling a little winded. Guess what? If this is happening to you, you need not to go lay down. The clock is ticking. This coronavirus brings on bleeding inside our bodies, whether it's in our extremities, in our hearts, or in our lungs, causing blood clots. And that's what's killing our Black folks. Now, if you can't get to a doctor, then you need to get up and walk. You need to start taking deep breaths as much as possible. Use some of your old home remedies. You know how your granny used to give you the garlic and the lemon and the ginger? Make yourself a poultice of onions. Put it on your chest. But it's by time that we start doing something for ourselves. We are losing our Black males especially faster than the doctors and the lawyers can pick them up. And the reason for that is One of the symptoms that is very common among our black men is pain in the muscles. And guys, no pun intended, most men, when they start to have a pain of any kind, wants to lay down. This is not the time to lay down. If you lay down, your lungs is filling with blood. And when that blood starts clotting, you can no longer pass oxygen to your bloodstream. So I'm no major doctor, but I've seen too many die in the last couple of weeks like this. And if you really start thinking, you go back as far as February, where we started finding people in their beds dead. And it really seems like it's that virus that was already in our community. So black folks, don't get stupid because they tell you you got your stimulus check and you're going out to go get your hair done or your nails done. Please protect yourselves, not just for you, but for your family. Let us be wise about what we're doing. We know we're always the group they're ready to do experiment on, or the group that they feel is dispensable. It's time we start taking care of ourselves. Please pass this information on to your friends and families. We need to do better. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to make sure that we're getting enough rest, eating properly, cover your nose and mouth. But more importantly, if you don't have to go out, stay home. I have too many nurses who work under me who are now out because they've been infected. Healthcare workers do not want to do this. And it's not fair to ask them to give their lives when you're not doing your part. Let's stop the craziness. Let's show them that we are no better or no worse than anybody else. Please pass the message on. Let's stop the coronavirus dead in its tracks. Let's cover each other with prayer, but let us be intelligent about what we need to do. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Guys, this is pretty alarming. This is something we haven't heard about over here. However, when I saw that video, those of you Brits who are around my circles, and we're probably about a couple thousand strong who know each other, grew up together in the same era, we lost a very good friend of ours just when this whole thing started. He was buried during the lockdown and nobody attended his funeral. Well, those of us who wanted to, hundreds of us would have attended. A friend of mine by the name of Tony, who passed away in his room, in his bedroom, lived alone. His girlfriend, from what I hear, his girlfriend attempted to visit him or tried to get in touch with him, and she couldn't reach him and went to visit him, and he was found dead in his room, in his house, in his flat. We haven't heard what caused his death. However, what this lady in the clip was saying reminded me of Tony, who we lost sadly a few days before this. Well, inside of the crisis. I mean, looking at the testing, looking at the numbers we had, we obviously had it here at the time. Those of you, if you have anybody who's passed away in these circumstances described in the video, please get in touch with myself and email me. The email address is there. Get in touch with me any which way that you can. This is something we need to bring attention to. Clearly what she's saying is that this seems to be affecting us differently in some cases. This is very alarming. It means that, one, if we turn up at the hospital, if they haven't identified that over in the UK, If we turn up at the hospital complaining of those symptoms, which is slightly off, slightly different to what they all know, it means you're not going to be classed as COVID. It means you're not going to be treated as a COVID patient. It means they're going to go easier with your treatment and probably even send you home in these circumstances. So we need to draw their attention to it ASAP, guys. This is very, very important that we do not lose more people off the back of the ignorance of not knowing that this is happening in a certain demographic, which just happens to be black people. Guys, it leads me to this same thing I've been harping on about, which is the fake news within our black communities. Now, to think that only a few weeks ago, there were some people in the UK and especially in the US who believed that this virus doesn't get to us and that this virus will bypass us because it just doesn't recognize us as somebody to hurt or harm. It shows you how diabolical that notion is now, because apparently this is only showing up in us. Now, further down the show, guys, I've got another situation, this time in the pediatric side of things, so young children. There's a new phenomenon as well that's being noticed in babies, in very young babies, and really, children, really toddlers, and below. I'm gonna play that video in a little while for you guys, okay? But I do want to deal with the fact that this has escaped the UK authorities completely. Why that is, I will blame us, because they are, they're busy doing what they're doing. They're actually also busy suppressing numbers. So if your state of mind is where you're suppressing numbers, then you're not really going to want to pay attention to anything that tells you, oh, those 300 people that have died in the last 3 weeks in the community, we believe they were actually that. They were actually COVID patients, but nobody who's in the process of suppressing numbers is going to do that. This is a right-wing government that we're dealing with. Like every right-wing government, they are not totally truthful with people. I'm not saying left-wing governments are truthful with people, but they're more open. They're more open to people. Guys, we need to take this very, very seriously. We need to make a lot of noise about this and take this as far as we can take it, okay? Now, at this point, so that we can discuss all of it, or we don't lose track of how they correlate, I want to show you the second video, and this is from Channel 4 News. And this is discussing I watched the first time it came up was about, I think this video was on the Tuesday. This news report was on Tuesday of this week, so 2 days ago, today being Thursday. However, the first time it came to, the Channel 4 broke it to the world, really. I didn't hear anything about this before. And apparently this is going on in Italy with Italian, white European Italian babies as well. So nobody in Italy has reported this happening so much in the black community, but apparently this is focused in London more than anywhere else in the UK. And well, I'm not surprised. We're 13%. Like if you watched my video yesterday, we're 13%, or 2 days ago, regarding the prisons, we're 13% of London. So I'm not surprised that with such a high concentration that this might be happening. But take a look at this video from Channel 4 regarding our little babies, our little black babies, guys. Take a look.
Social care correspondent Victoria McDonald is here. And Victoria, you've got more on the story you reported yesterday about the risk to children from COVID, haven't you?
Yes, we heard about very rare instances, a handful it was described as, of children turning up in hospitals with what looked similar to toxic shock, or what they were describing as multi-system inflammation, and an alert went out to doctors to look out for some of these symptoms: high temperature, rash, low blood pressure, difficulty breathing, diarrhea. Now, one interesting thing we have learned today is that in the London cases, the majority of those children are from black and ethnic minority backgrounds. Now, what we're being told is that this seems to be an anomaly, that they're not seeing this throughout the rest of the UK or indeed abroad. But as they research what's going on here, and their working hypothesis is that it's COVID-19. They don't know that, but that's what they're working towards. One of the questions they're going to ask is ethnicity linked to this risk?
The cases we know of outside of London, those from Ireland, from Spain, from Italy, have all been in white populations. This raises the question clearly about whether ethnicity is linked to risk. I think that broadly across all of the countries, we would say there isn't a signal in that. And we're not seeing this being reported from India or China or indeed anywhere in Africa. On the other hand, we know that some immune conditions, such as vasculitis conditions, can be more common in those from BME backgrounds for genetic reasons. So this is certainly something that will be looked into.
Well, it is unusual, and I have to emphasise these cases are very, very rare. And again, the message that came from last night is that if parents are at all concerned, they must ring 111 or 999 or call their GP, because they don't want parents staying away from hospitals if they're worried at all about their children.
Guys, this is, I'm not medically educated. This is a truthful channel. This is a channel where if you bring an issue to me that I know nothing about, I will not be discussing it off the top of my head because I don't know nothing about it. So in this show, I'm not going to drill into it. I'm not going to decipher it on the medical side of things because I'm not qualified on those levels. What I am qualified in doing is I've got common sense, and I'm an older person. I'm over 50 years old. And my common sense tells me that right now, the statistics that we're dying at the rate of 1 in every 3 in the community, or 1 in every 3 deaths so far, those numbers seem like they might be extensively more than that. My plea, this video is a plea to the UK government to task the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, to look into these numbers, to look into these figures before it's too late, before we have a second wave. So at least if we do have a second wave, which is likely depending on how we unlock, if we do have a second wave, that we're prepared. We know at least 80, 90, 95% of what we need to know to make better decisions. That's if we're able to put ideology aside. So my plea today is to the ONS, Office of National Statistics, to please look into this matter as soon as possible. Guys, appeal to those of you who have younger children, play this video for them or take some facts and write down off this video. Go on websites, go on Channel 4 News website, go on Google and research these what you've just seen on here, and take this to your MP because it needs to be addressed in case we do have a second wave. Now, in terms of the numbers at the moment, America obviously, is going crazy. I'm not going to deal with too much of that on this video because this video I really want to dedicate to these topics right now, or the topic of this show is called the silent and sudden death, appearing in the black population. We haven't heard of this happening to any other race. This is very, very serious. This means that I can, not wake up tomorrow morning, touch wood. However, I cannot wake up tomorrow morning and my death will not be looked at in that light. I won't be classed as a victim of this. It will be put down to natural causes. It's very important. It's important for us to get to know what this is. Okay, guys. I also want to bring to your attention the subject matter of vaccines. A very, very good friend of mine, I just had a conversation with, and he was asking for my take on vaccines. Guys, the soonest I can see a vaccine coming out will be some point in in 2020, from January onwards. However, I'm going to bring you up to speed now with vaccines and or with treatments. So again, let me just explain this. Those of you who are worried about the vaccines, you do not have to take the vaccine. Definitely. Okay. Nobody forces anybody to take a vaccine. It's never been done. You are advised to. So even when we had our MMR as babies, our parents had to make that decision too. Okay. So we do not have to take any vaccine. However, for me, if you want my assistance on what I'm looking for to make that decision, I'm looking for who produced the vaccine, who found it, who discovered it. I'm looking at the test, the trials. It's called trials. The trials that they had. How long did the trials last? So if they rush through a trial trials can be up to 5 years. Just so you guys know, if you're bringing a new medicine to the market, it's about anywhere between a 5 to 15, 20-year process even. On some occasions, they rush these things, like now, like AIDS, like, SARS. That we get situations where the governments have to relax these measures just so we can do quick tests. And those trials are done when in good times, in normal times, trials will be done by paying people to volunteer. However, when you got situations like this, you don't need to pay people because people are sick. So you can use those people who are sick to do your trials. I watched a video from a French minister, a French government official, who said, as bright and as brave as you like on a phone-in show, that they have discovered a vaccine, and he is suggesting that this is tested on people in Africa. Yeah, he actually said it. Unbelievably so. I mean, someone like that should be shot. Personally, you should be shot. Why should he be shot? Because of the liberty of it. If France didn't have it at all, he wouldn't be. I wouldn't recommend for him to be shot. If it was all based in Africa and they invented it in France and he was saying those words, I'll say, all right, you know what? At least they're trying to save those lives over there. So go try over there. That's where they got it. No problem with that. However, when the whole of Africa combined, 50 plus countries combined, had less infection than France on its own, when this guy was saying that, when that's the case, then this guy should have been shot, because clearly you're looking at the Africans and the African population as lab rats, as people that you can risk if your medicine doesn't work. Okay, so guys, aside from those nutty bastards that still have that hardcore inbred racism in them, apart from those facts, set those facts aside, we'll be looking out for things like that. They would have had to have tested it on their own people. I mean, Oxford, as I brought to you last week, a trial in a drug. That's progressing very well. However, the new drug, which I don't have a name for it, they haven't said what the name is, but Pfizer, the US company, has teamed up with a German company, and they are called Pfizer, working on a vaccine, not a cure, not the treatment. Pfizer have teamed up with a company called BioNTech, okay? A German company called BioNTech. So you've got Pfizer, an American company, and you've got BioNTech, a German company, and they've teamed up together to trial a vaccine. Now, Germany's trials are already up and running since last week, and the US side of the trials is starting this week. So again, keep you guys posted on my channel. Subscribe, stay in touch. I'm dealing with everything and anything, guys, and anything you guys suggest that you want me to deal with, feel free to email me and I'll respond accordingly. So that's a vaccine that's being worked on now. If you remember, I brought you guys Remdesivir. I brought to you guys about a week and a half ago now, when I told you guys it was looking good. I spelt it out for you guys online. Those of you who are following my video progression rather than missing some and watching some. But if you have seen that video, you know I brought you that information on remdesivir. Now, the situation with remdesivir is, as of the present, as of the current batch of tests, they have found that those who they gave remdesivir to beat the virus in 6 days. Basically, from the day they came in, given the treatment, remdesivir, to the day they got better enough to get discharged was 6 days. Those who didn't take that and had the normal treatment they've been treating them, which is really nothing, you know, they're just giving them painkillers and respirators or whatever. Those who survive it are taking on average 11 plus days to get better. So remdesivir seems to be blocking. That's what the word they're using. It seems to be blocking the progression of the virus through the body. So the minute you've taken it, it starts to block it. Obviously, it's like a boxing match, isn't it? So you got remdesivir boxing in your inside of your body. You got coronavirus in the blue corner boxing remdesivir in the red corner, if you want to use an example. And obviously, it's like a 12-round fight, and remdesivir is knocking it out in 6 rounds. So it's progression. It's been seen to be 30% better than what they have now. So those trials are getting ahead. But remember, again, that's the treatment. Guys, there is a difference between the treatment and the vaccine, which I brought to you guys the other day. Clearly, when you have a vaccine, you have to have elements of the treatment inside of the vaccine, which then makes you permanently, or overall for 2-3 years, you might have to retake it. Some vaccines you take after every 3-4 years or whatever, and some others just last you your lifetime. We don't know which one that will be yet. But whoever finds it, guys, is a race. There's a race on right now. And the reason I want to make an appeal, which I made the other day on one of my other videos. I think it was the one talking about when the UK, when the rest of the world catches a flu, the ethnic minorities have pneumonia. If you go back to that video, guys, it's in the collection of videos. I made the same appeal to you guys. There will be fake news coming up around this vaccine, guys. Those of you who believed that this was 5G, those of you who believed that this was some kind of world order to take vaccines, which world order does not mean an order from the top. It just means the pecking order of countries, and people didn't even know that. However, those of you who have spread this or have passed it on, have believed it, every single day as things progress, you're going to see that you was wrong. If you think you're already wrong now, or if you're starting to see that, oh, what I thought isn't panning out, then my plea and my beg to you is this. There will be a new batch of fake news when the vaccine comes out. There will be a new batch of fake news when the treatment comes out, firstly, before the vaccine does. Whatever those are, I don't know what they're going to say. They're probably going to say, if you drink that, it will look what they done to the £10 note. I poured it on the £10 note. Look what it did. Do not take it. I don't know what they're going to come up with. But I know they're going to come up with something, guys. So what I'm saying to you guys now, before they do, is please, guys, especially my black community, because we're highly prone to believing these things, yeah? They haven't come out yet. At least I'm giving you advance warning. And those of you who watch this channel, you can actually say to yourself, you know what? When something lands on your phone that says, oh, look, don't take the vaccine. Germany are planning to kidnap all of us and take us off to Mars. If you take this vaccine, it means German. You're going to start speaking German. Whatever it is that you see, guys, kill it dead by your phone. Just ignore it. Completely ignore it. Let me tell you a secret that you guys don't know, yeah? Why do you think there are more fake news clips, fake news angles, if it's not the masks, is the peaceful rioters who were rioting a few years back about a Chinese law in Hong Kong, breaking banks and breaking lampposts and stuff? It will happen a few years back. Somebody has seen that clip and tried to convince you that this was people now in Hong Kong now, right now, happening today, bringing out but it was all fake. It was umbrella campaign, right? In Hong Kong about an extradition law. So why do you think that they try and bring all these different bits of fake news? Can I tell you why? You see, when people tell a lie, do you notice that they bend over backwards to convince you? Right? You see, when you're telling the truth, no matter how weird your truth might be, like I'm driving down this road and a horse came right past my car. I couldn't believe it. When I turned like that and I looked up again and there was a truck in front of me and I couldn't avoid it, I hit it. Your story isn't going to change. I don't need to show you this angle from the horse. I don't need to show you the sky view from and put a fake horse in a picture of two cars. You know, my point is, if you notice, the fake news merchants try to convince you so much so that it's coming at you from every angle. The truth tellers, they just put the news out there. Look, this is what's happening. This is what believe it is. Boom, and they've gone back to work. When you put that out, then the fake news tellers get to work. They get to work. They find this angle. They find that angle. Just remember, guys, people who are telling the truth don't need to tell the story 50 million times. They don't need to convince you by finding 60 different ways to tell you the same story. When you're lying and you're trying to cause confusion and you're trying to move, like just confuse people's opinions, that's what you do. And I'll tell you guys something else. You see, with fake news, right? Even if fake news doesn't make you believe it, it's caused enough confusion in you that it's worked anyway. Again, I was speaking to a very good friend who's abroad at the moment, who said she doesn't believe it. However, I can see from her arguments that she's there. She's in the confused area because she's saying things like, well, we'll have to wait until this comes out. Well, we'll have to wait till we get to the end. And that's because she's in that zone where you're like, okay, a lot of that is fake, but you know what? I don't really know what's the truth either. You see, when you're there, fake news has won. Fake news does not have to convince you 1,000%. You do not have to be sold on fake news. All fake news wants to do, and their aim, is to confuse the population. Is to not let you, when you're going to vote, you got 3 people that you need to vote for. You got fake news being blasted all through the election period. What's that going to do? You get to the ballot box, unless you're someone who's solid in your convictions. You're going to get to the ballot box thinking, who do I choose now? You see, with that, pardon me, once they've done that, they've achieved their goal, guys. So coming back to what we're discussing today, okay, the vaccine. Guys, if you guys allow them to confuse you and make you make a decision or come to a decision based on that confusion, they've already won. They've already won the fight. So what am I saying to you guys? What I'm saying to you guys is, please, guys, we got the vaccine as a treatment coming along in a minute. Many of us are decision makers for a family. So what we say goes in a family sometimes. You know, if the father said, no, don't trust them, I'm not going to, that runs down through your family. Could affect the poor child who should have had a vaccine and now he's in hospital on his own, or she's in hospital on her own. It's important that we take a breath, guys. Relax, take a breath, look at everything, discuss it on platforms like this, call TV shows that you trust and discuss it. Like people like Jeremy Vine. He's a good guy, but he's also not. You know, he's got his agenda as well. He's the channel he works for is his agenda. So if the channel he works for says, Jeremy, no, we can't say that, then he can't say that. Okay? So call TV shows like Jeremy Vine and put out your case. Go online, ask a question, come on this platform, ask a question. You know, eventually I will have a phone-in version of this show. Eventually we'll be doing this live so that I can speak to you guys and I can take questions while I'm on. We're not there yet. Like I keep saying, we need the support to get there. We need the technical support to get there. We need people to show us how to do this properly and professionally. And we also need a studio or to share a studio. So if anybody out there is watching this and you'd like to bring us up to that level, then please feel free to contact me. But we will get there. We will get there. I've only just started this, like what, 3 weeks now? This is my 3rd week. So I started a week after lockdown began. So this is only the 3rd week. And already we've had way over 5,000 views. And we're getting there. So guys, those of you who support fake news, those of you who understand what I'm trying to say, what I am trying to say is the vaccine's coming along, the treatment's coming along. We're already dying in the part 1 of this. If you look at the part 1 as infection, when infection hit, that was the part 1. The part 2 is the treatment and the unlock. The part 3 is the aftermath of this whole thing. So the part 1, we've already lost that big time. Big time. It through the prisons, we're down in droves because we're so much more in numbers over there in both countries, and anywhere where there's blacks, anywhere, any Western country where there's a high black population. We're dying in the community and they're not counting us. So again, we're losing in the second battle of part 1. Then the hospital side of things, it's now turned out through this lady you've just seen that we're coming in. It seems to be affecting us in a different way. And we haven't heard the UK talk about this. So, and she's also drawing attention to the authorities over there. That's why she done the video. So I'm guessing the authorities in the US and the authorities in the UK really haven't done anything about it. So again, we're losing third battle of part 1, right? And then on top of that, some people in America are suffering discrimination because they're wearing masks. Thank God we haven't had it over yet. But they're suffering discrimination because they're wearing masks. People are telling them to come out of shops because they don't trust them when the government's telling them to wear masks. So wherever you look at it, we're losing all round. The last thing I want us to do further, guys, is to allow the theorists, the conspiracy theorists, to confuse the hell out of you guys, so much so that you're making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision that's just adding and compiling, right? The issue, right? Please, guys. So as we step into phase 2, we're heading towards part 2 now. As we step into phase 2, which is the treatment side of things and the unlock, it's vital, guys, that we at least reduce some of that casualty rate. I'm appealing to you guys, better judgment, okay? The first thing you guys must do is if someone sends you it, I'm not saying to text somebody and say, don't send me these no more. When they text it to you, they're clearly not watching my show and they're clearly on their, still there. They still want to believe that this can't be happening. It has to be a plan. Yeah? When you get that text message, don't pass it on. Don't pass it on. Just kill it dead at your phone. Social distance from fake news. You see, everybody starts to kill it dead. Then we're stopping them in their tracks. Because like I said a minute ago, the aim of fake news is to confuse. If you don't believe it, fine. We got enough who believe it. Let's just go ahead and confuse the other lot who might not believe. But let's just confuse them. Let's throw up some confusion in the air. You know what happens? They're going to count. The result of it will be that they've succeeded in those who believe them. And they've also succeeded in those who are made confused. So if you look at a population of say 100% of people, if they got 30% who believe them, 30% who don't, but 30% who's confused, guess what their number is? Their victory number is. Their victory number is 60%. That's their victory number, is 60%. That's how they got Brexit through, guys. That's exactly how they got Brexit through. There was so much people that weren't sure what to vote that they decided on the last day. That is how they won Brexit. Yeah? So guys, the medication's coming along. The vaccine's coming along. Remember the name I told you 2 weeks ago, remdesivir? That's going to be, I think, the first treatment to hit. I do believe now, in my heart of hearts, that Pfizer and what's the name? That Pfizer and BioNTech will be the ones to produce the vaccine. So again, guys, watch this space as time goes on. Okay, guys, I want to finish by a couple of breaking news that I want to bring to you guys. Firstly, guys, congratulate me. I have just applied for my press cards for my NUJ, right? National Union of Journalists. membership. Okay, so I'm registering myself as a journalist. Once I have the press card, guys, guess what it helps me with? It helps me with asking questions of the right people. With my credentials, I'll be able to approach the government and say, look, I'm looking for data on black people. I'm looking for data on this. I can go to a press conference and question or query whoever it is that we want to query. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what, if we're really going to do this properly, let's do it. Let's go the whole way. And so I've applied for these guys and watch this space. As soon as my card arrives, I will be showing it off on here. And also you will be getting better service for it as well, guys. So that's great news. The last bit of news I want to bring to you guys is about Kim Jong-un's little sister. I told you guys some breaking news the other day that some intelligence, South Korea's intelligence, as well as the US and Japanese intelligence, believe that he might be dead. He hasn't been seen for a few days. A few days after that was his grandfather, the guy who founded the nation, North Korea. It was his grandfather's birthday, I think about a week ago, and he didn't show up, which is incredible, which is impossible. However, since I brought that news to you guys, the South Koreans intelligence and the satellites spotted his train. Those of you who know he's got a train, right? He moves around by train. So they spotted his train parked up, as you do, park your train up. They spotted his train parked up outside of one of his palaces, one of his presidential palaces where he lives in the countryside. So based on that, they reckon that he might still be alive. However, knowing the North Koreans, he's heard all this talk going on. Clearly they're watching closely to see if he comes out of that house. They're probably watching from about 500 miles above the sky, above ground level, but no one's still seen him. So I just wanted to bring you guys just to give you guys a heads up of who, in case he's still dead. Okay, so far, if you listen to what I said, I didn't when I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, breaking news, I told you they believe he's dead. I didn't say he was dead. They believe he's dead, and I told you basically about his little sister. I'm now updating you today. They've spotted his train outside the house, so some intelligence communities think he's cool and he's alive and he's well, but maybe sickly and poorly. Then other intelligence are still thinking the fact he didn't turn up for his granddad's birthday, which is a big event for the whole country, the army comes out and everything else, the fact he didn't turn up for that still got them wondering if he's actually dead or alive. But just until we know what it is, I'm just keeping you guys up to speed. So the girl's name, his younger sister, is called Kim Yo Jong. Remember, he's Kim Jong-un. She is Kim Yo Jong. And apparently, I'll just read a couple of bits out for you guys. I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but these are world matters. I mean, with him in charge, we could have went to war. And you might not think he affects you, but flipping does. Firing missiles every other day and praising himself, patting himself on the back. Apparently, she's a lot more dangerous. Hence, I'm talking to you guys about her. Apparently, the only person she fears is him, her big brother. And she brings him his ashtray and all of that when he's having meetings. But once he's resting and she's now running the show, apparently she is more dangerous than he is. So I'll just bring you guys a little bit of a... Right, so it says, respectful and waif-like, which is small, tiny sort of thing. Kim Yo Jong has often melted into the background during her authoritarian brother Kim Jong-un's public appearances, at times emerging from the shadows to hold his ashtray, or assiduously taking notes as he discusses matters of state with world leaders. But behind her differential demeanor, analysts say the youngest child of the late North Korean leader Kim Jong-il is bright, calculating, a highly influential figure in the country's cutthroat corridors of power. So guys, keep an eye out for her. If he dies and he takes over, then you heard it here first. Other than that, let's just see what's happening over there. Guys, Listen, again, it's been lovely talking to you guys. Today's topic was very, very serious. I promise you I will be looking into what I personally can do to find out more about it. For you guys, please contact your MPs, please contact your doctors, especially if you got young children. And to all adult males, if you go back and listen to that nurse, what she's telling you, if you feel lethargic, if you feel poorly-ish, the worst thing you can do is go and lay down because they're not waking back up. So please be aware of these things. Apparently, it's not just the cold and the runny nose and the temperature we need to look out for in black people. So if you're black like I am, what she is telling us is, aside from the normal symptoms that we're all now used to hearing about, us blacks have a different, especially black males, we have a different line of symptoms that we are showing. And that's about feeling lethargic, feeling poorly. Go back and watch the video, guys. So if you ever start to feel this way, remember it could be COVID. Not saying it is, but it could be that. So basically remember that black men are showing a different symptom than anybody else. And that's the crux of this show, guys. So guys, have a fantastic Thursday. I shall be doing one more video tomorrow, Friday. I am now taking Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, off. So I'm only doing videos from Monday to Friday from here on in, like last week as well. So guys, one more video tomorrow, and then it's the weekend. So I'll be back tomorrow to share what we're talking about tomorrow, and we'll take it from there. I wish you guys a fantastic weekend at that time. So thanks again for watching. Share my videos, subscribe to the channel, okay, and stay informed. Stay away from fake news. Separate yourself from fake news. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.